Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I'm Leon Thomas, and I'm joined by Austin Yorsky, Johnny Maloney. Austin's horny for my stuff, so that's what we talked about before.
Not just Austin.
Listen.
All right. Okay. Look, Leon, you have to understand that everybody is horny for your stuff.
Okay. All right.
Give me the stuff, Leon.
Yeah, let's do it. So let's disappoint both of you. I watched the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and I didn't like it at all. So let's just do that.
I saw that in the tweetosphere.
I am sad about that. That disappoints me.
You wound Johnny.
No, it's all right. I have a lot of reasons, so I'm just going to try to get through all of them.
Oh, you're definitely going to get talked over, my dude.
No, it's fine. I made it like some bullshit.
Here I come, Leon!
He's coming,
Okay.
Leon.
I know. First, the Coens had the right idea in the first place to make this a series. Netflix apparently changed the format into a film so that they could release it in theaters as one movie instead of a series of short episodes.
Okay, I will concede that.
Yeah, that way if it hits, they could get Oscar nominations, which is what they want to like legitimize their platform.
Netflix,
sort of look down
not
upon
the Coen brothers.
Yeah, I understand that, but regardless of who is responsible, the product is the product. Like films are a collaborative product, so whether it was the director or the screenwriter who made the thing bad, it's still in the thing that happened into my eyeballs. It actually, watching it really shows just how much this was. Okay. It really shows how much this was not supposed to be a movie. Anthology movies generally have a framing device and a secondary story in the background, like in Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. A woman captures like a boy, and she's going to eat him. But the boy tells her stories to stall her, and then at the epilogue, there's a conclusion to that story. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs doesn't do that. I thought that, here's how dumb I am. What?
There's a book.
That doesn't... Right. It seems super tacked on, too. I thought that maybe Buster Scruggs himself would be like the Crypt Keeper, and he would introduce stories and then tie them all together by saying a bad pun. But no, it's not a movie, and the stories have no framing device. I know the hot take right now is that a television series is just a longer movie due to TV getting bigger budgets and prestige stuff, but that ignores the structural differences like pacing. A movie generally has like 3 acts with well-defined characteristics and like a pacing that befits the time. A television series has 13 or so like chapters, and it works itself into 2 forms, like the pacing of the individual episode and then the pacing of the season overall. Buster Scruggs is not paced like a movie, but it's delivered as a movie, and it suffers because of it. I keep hearing that like TV is just movies, it's all the same. Well, no. Different mediums have different expectations. I expect different experiences when I listen to a song than when I look at a painting.
But you hate music!
And if the basic expectations aren't satisfied, it leaves me a little cold. And the pacing is awful as a movie because the segments don't gel. Now, as for the segments themselves, like the episodes, like even if I approach this just as pretending it's still a series, like I watch it and then I pause it and then just watch another segment of the movie the next day, I still did not really care for it.
It made me want the Coen brothers to direct a horror movie. The last short.
Yeah.
I so desperately want the Coen brothers to direct a horror movie.
That's fine. That last segment left me a little cold because I've already seen it in the Twilight Zone.
You miserable, miserable man.
No, I'm sorry, but as soon as it started, I'm like, this is the Hitchhiker, right? This is that episode of the Twilight Zone that I really like, the Hitchhiker. They're all dead and stuff, right? and they're riding somewhere and they don't know it, but then they do, and then they accept it. This is the Hitchhiker. Neat. But I don't care. Although I did enjoy that Donnie from Frasier was in that segment. That was a neat surprise. I've seen him in Frasier and one episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, so it was like, oh, neat.
Did you like Tom Waits?
Nope, I did not like that segment at all. That was I would like that Tom Waits was in it because I got to hear him sing for 5 seconds. But I found this little like slice of life for the first 2/3 of it, and then a I don't know, I wouldn't say a twist, drama for a minute, and then he's fine. And then again, just slice of life stuff, him walking around and he's fine. No,
Leon,
did not
you're
like
killing me.
Just he digs for gold,
Leon,
and then
you're killing me. I'm dying right now.
It's fine. Yeah, I don't care. The first segment with Buster Scruggs himself, fuck that guy. I did not like that at all.
What?
It was hit and miss for me. Some of them I liked a great bit more than others. It's not one of my favorite Coen movies, but it's like in the middle of the pack, I would say.
It was like it was such a great deconstruction of everything the Western movie is. Shut up, Leon.
It's absolutely deeply metatextual, and if you go in expecting it to stand on its own and to be invested in the characters as characters, you will be disappointed. That's not what it is. That's fine.
Not interesting. I want to get through all of the segments.
Okay. Sorry.
So I mildly liked the Hangman segment where James Franco is a bank robber for a second, and then he's a guy who gets hanged twice.
Yeah. I mean, like that line, first time, is pretty perfect.
Yeah, I didn't like that. So
God, Leon!
I don't care
you
about
so much, but you're killing me.
I don't care about any of these people. The show, the movie does this thing where instead of giving me, there's one segment I liked, and I'll talk about it, because they actually had a certain amount of length to it. All the other ones, you could like go to the bathroom and miss the whole thing. I'm not into that because basically movies require some kind of empathy to attach yourself to the characters and the action, and there's not enough time for any of that, and not enough investigation into who these people are. The movie, yeah, you're right in that the Coen brothers are like, let's do some things about westerns, but
that like the empathy in this movie is for the genre.
No,
that's the point of the movie. I recognize that you disagree with that, and that you watch the movie and go, I don't know these people. How can I care about these people or anything like that? But I have deep love for the Western genre, and that
I like westerns too. But that's not enough to bridge the gap of like kind of coldness that kind of permeates throughout this whole thing. I'm a sad orator segment. Again, like, no. There is one segment that I liked, and I think that's because they gave it significantly more time than any of the other ones. Which it was kind of strange because everything felt uneven because of it. Some segments were like 10 minutes long, and this one was like way longer. This was like a solid episode of like a half-hour like anthology show. This was a Twilight Zone episode, but without like a crazy twist.
The girl who, or what was it?
She's in. There's a caravan, and her.
The episode he's asking the title. It's The Girl Who Got Rattled.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of that. There's
the
a girl
who rattled too easily. I think it was.
That's
Sure.
what happened, not what it was called. Anyway, Leon's trying to go through his points.
Sure didn't matter. But the point is, there's one segment in the middle of all of this. It's not even in the middle. It's towards the end. I think it's second to the last one. And it's about a woman and her brother, and they're on the way to Oregon, and she might have prospects over there, or she might not. Her brother kind of leaves her in the dark, and he's a dick, and he dies. And the rest of the story is a relationship that is just adorable between herself and a man who eventually she would know is named William.
It is cute.
And they just...
Yeah.
It's
cute.
Yeah. It is. It's great. And I was watching it, and as much as I enjoyed it, I also hated it because I wanted this to be the movie. Like, if this had just been broadened a little and had just been like a 90-minute feature, I would have loved this. But
Dying of fire,
that would have been
Leon.
That is exactly what I wanted. I rarely care, and here's the thing. I don't care a super lot about watching romance movies. They have to be really something special or just precious.
What's your favorite romance movie?
I believe we've already gone over this.
Just tell me right now.
It's The Princess Bride,
All
obviously.
Right. Okay.
Right.
But
this
screenwriter died just not long ago. So
right.
God rest his soul. Sure.
So like it takes a lot for me to be interested in a romance movie. If it's a romance on a television series, I feel like I can get more invested because there's a lot of will they, won't they over the course of years. But this is like you better go hard in a romance story, and they got me right away because the guy, I kept waiting for him to like show his ass. You know, like where he just does something shitty because, this is happening like over a century ago, and he's like a cowboy. He's obviously going to do something shitty, and that's going to be the twist. That's going to be the big tragic end where he's a dick, as it turns out. Won't that be bad? But that's not what happens. He tries really hard with this girl.
He was such a nice boy.
He was. And like there was a moment where I was like, you know what? I don't like that this movie is presenting him as like the only option between her and her going hungry. And then he says, listen, if you're not interested, that's okay. I don't want to be the only option between you and ruination. And I'm like, oh my God, you got me. I love this so much. I want them to have 1 million babies. It does have the sad ending, but in a different way. And, it's handled really, really well, and I liked it. And I thought, if we're talking about deconstruction of the Western, generally the old movies will have a happy ending, and then the two ride off into the sunset, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, this is not like your traditional Western of that time, and that's okay. I'm down with that, so long as I can be invested in what's happening. All the other segments, no. So
Leon,
that's it.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I know. So that's basically how I feel. I can listen. Anyone who's watched my show or listened to what I talk about on Twitter knows that I can like a whole weird manner of movies. But they still need to service something inside of me, more than like mild whimsy, and that's kind of the things that I got from the like winking at the audience sort of other segments. That's just, I don't know. That's just a little too like
I love you, but
that's fine.
Fuck you.
I know. That just doesn't interest me. The other segments just seemed like a little too in love with themselves, and the segment I liked seemed to be about love, and that's different. And that's what I think about the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. But this is receiving critical acclaim because it's a Coen Brothers movie, but it's not receiving boisterous, uproarious acclaim because it's an uneven product.
I can agree with that. All right, it is uneven.
Yeah, but if you liked more segments than you disliked, then it's all good. You know, if there were all of these segments, but there were a bunch of other segments that I liked, I'd be like, okay, thumbs slightly higher than lower, so I'll say that I liked it. But now I liked a percentage of it that was not 50%, I guess.
I hope you know that I slap people really, really hard.
Uh-huh. I bet. So that's what I thought about that. I assume that both of you liked it significantly more than myself, and that's fine. Your mileage may vary.
Austin,
go ahead.
Tell me
Me.
things. We interrupted you last episode, so.
No, it's fine. We don't need to go on too long. We're already 15 minutes in, and I think Leon had the most interesting opinions. I'll just say I think I valued the genre work a little bit more. We've had this conversation with like Undertale, where I'm like, it really takes apart RPGs and examines them. And Leon's like, jack off motion. He doesn't give a fuck. That's fine. We don't have to be
right. Listen. You've seen my show. I appreciate analysis and movies that have a lot to say and products that have a lot to say. But if there's for me, if there's also just no heart in a movie, then it's not enough for me. And just like in Undertale,
how can you not think that the Ballad of Buster Scruggs has no heart?
For all the reasons I just explained.
It is so full of love in every single fucking
No. But and conversely, Austin,
just mad at you, Leon.
Yes, fine. And conversely, Austin, like as it relates to video games, they can be as thoughtful as possible, but if they're not fun, I don't want to keep playing it.
And that's fair enough.
I can't entirely. People say like I can't turn off my brain. That's super true. I also just can't turn off my heart. And I can't just sit here pontificating about something and pretending I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying?
I absolutely don't want you to pretend anything. Is he done? I just want to say I do think I value also spectacle a little bit more than you. There's a part in the first vignette where someone does something that's so fucking badass that even if I hated the rest of it, like I would still be like, yo, you got to watch this to see this thing that happens. So that's me also.
What are we talking, Austin?
I don't want to spoil it. It's just a really cool thing that happens with a table and a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's things. I think there are a couple of weaker ones. The one where he looks for gold in a field for 20 minutes. Could have done without most of that. I think there are parts of it that really work, but not all of it. And also the person who, the amputee who makes speeches, I got what it was going for. I did not find it particularly valuable. So there are weak points to it too, but also I got more out of it than Leon. So I think we are a broad spectrum here. Leon did not enjoy it. You loved it. And I'm in the middle.
It's not a perfect movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's complete in a way that I love.
Okay.
I should say. Yep.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, this isn't even on the same topic, really, that we're recording this on Saturday. It was Thanksgiving week. We missed our normal recording time, so I didn't ask for questions. So I don't know how much we're going to go.
Thanksgiving, my American friend.
Thanks. Do we have any Thanksgiving stories? I don't, really, but, I mean, I could briefly talk about the fact that I cooked Thai chili chicken, and I ate it, and it was good, or the fact that I bought a pumpkin pie, and, well, not like a big one, but like a smallish one, and I ate it, and that was what I ate that day.
Was that the whole story?
I just want to die.
That's it.
What about you?
That's literally it. Sorry, Johnny, you were saying something?
I said, no, I just want to die. What about you, Austin?
Oh my! All right, I don't know how that's gonna get edited in. There's a lot going on there, but I do have Thanksgiving stories. I think I was the only one who did a more traditional Thanksgiving. Johnny, as a Canadian, didn't have one at all, and Leon had pie.
I
was
did,
good.
but it was like a month ago because now the ground is frozen.
Yeah.
Right.
So I can tell some stories, I guess. I think you probably need to have the backstory I've told on previous episodes. So if you're a new listener, I'll go through it real quick. That my family is like half. Like I have an adopted father, a half brother, and a half sister. I just call them my dad, brother, and sister because it's easier. But that's the actual truth of what's going on. So we went, me and my dad, to visit my sister who lives in Orlando. My brother didn't go, which is probably great because my brother and sister don't get along very well. So that was probably bullet dodged. But a contributing factor is last Christmas.
You gave me my heart.
Huh? You okay?
I'm sorry. You said last Christmas, and I said you gave me my heart.
Okay. I deserved it. I interrupted you during your thing.
No, you're fine. I'm sorry.
No. So it was like a couple Christmases ago, maybe last one. I don't remember. My brain is bad. We met my sister's boyfriend, and I don't want to just make accusations.
I remember. Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah.
Fuck?
He said some, let's say, Islamophobic things. And that's just, I mean, it's super not cool without any other context. I don't even need to add context, but the context is we're really good friends with a Muslim guy. I would say he's my brother's best friend. My brother almost beat his ass.
Yeah.
Just like there on the spot. And I don't think they have been in the same room since then, which I don't know how that's going to, my sister's been with this guy for like 3 years. So I don't know if it's not, at some point we're going to have to deal with it. Not yet. Anyway. So I went down there to visit my sister. She has a cat, but the cat was very nervous and would not let me pet her. Very sad about that. Yeah, I know. I was trying the whole time. That's basically all I did was try to pet this cat for like 3 days. Another thing we did was watch Jeopardy, which they added to Netflix, which is not a particularly bingeable show, but we had nothing in common. Like it's not like I could talk to my sister about what she's up to because she doesn't care about any of the things I care about, and her boyfriend is who he is, and like my dad's an old guy. I don't know, like he's nice. I've talked before. We're like on perfectly good terms now. But
what you're trying to tell me is you crushed your family at Jeopardy.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. I was trying to think of a less douchey way to say it, but yeah, for basically 2 days, I was just that guy who's just like, selenium, quarks, gluons. Just every question I'd be being that guy. I wasn't trying to be, but you at a certain point, no matter what your tone is, if you answer everyone before they're done reading the question, you're going to be that guy. So at a certain point, I just leaned into it.
And then you left the house, arms out, and yelled, "Who am I?"
Actually leaving, so there's not really any good stories on Thanksgiving, right? We ate food, we watched Jeopardy, and we avoided talking about politics, as probably is the best for everyone involved. However, there was a pretty interesting thing that happened on the way back, which maybe I should have skipped all of that. I don't know how great that was. But here's the actual interesting story, which is we stopped at a gas station going back from Orlando to Tallahassee, which is...
All right, so this is you and...
my dad.
Right.
Okay.
It's like a 3-hour drive. I don't know how important that is. Florida's fucking huge, though. So even going from one place to another in the state is a pretty big ordeal. So we had to get a tank of gas. He pulls up to the pump, and some guy walks over to him, and I couldn't hear their conversation. But then my dad comes back to the car. I'm still sitting in the car, and he says, "Do you think I should give this guy a lift?" And I looked over.
Oh.
I looked over at the guy, or actually, I got out of the car because we were going to go in and get pay for the gas inside. And the guy came over and he says, "Hi, I'm Brad." And he, reaches out for a handshake. I shake his hand. He has a swastika tattoo on his inner arm.
Oh, well. I really hope you didn't give him the ride.
No. When we got inside to pay for the gas, my dad, this is when he said, like, "Do you think I should give this guy a ride?" And I said, "Well, he's got a swastika tattoo, so I'm going to say no." And he...
Good call.
Well, he didn't notice that, and he said, "Oh my God," and then he said to the guy as we left, like, "Sorry, but I changed my mind, we gotta go," and we just left. But then, like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later, we're driving down the highway, and yeah?
Is this gonna be like the old story where, like, someone flashes their lights at you and runs you off the road?
No, Leon.
Is there a hook hand involved?
It turns out he had a hook for a hand. The whole time.
It turns into
My
the
God.
Hitcher or Duel. No, what happened was we're 20 or 30 minutes like onto the highway, and he says to me like, "Oh, you know what?" When he came up to me, because this is the conversation I didn't hear, he said, "Hey, I know this is weird. I'm not a bum. I'm white. Can I get a ride?"
I'm dying.
Oh my God.
He's dying.
Just do that away from the microphone. Did your father... Jesus.
That's good
my wife, I
podcasting
love her.
etiquette.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
None of this is staying in, so that's okay.
It's pretty funny.
But I'm trying to ask.
All right. Well,
This is the show now.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
you're not that sorry.
I'm sorry.
Did your father think that these were just random bits of information he was giving you? Like, by the way, my birth date is this, my social security number is this, I'm white, I'm not a bum, and could you give me a ride?
By the way, did you know that I hate Islam?
He didn't associate the fact that, like, I'm not a bum, I'm white, meaning something racist?
I mean, he did. It just took him like 20 or 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. It was just like delayed reaction syndrome.
Yeah,
Understood.
It was. That's how long it took. He like had that realization driving away. At the time, I think he was just flustered by a person approaching him, and he didn't process it.
No, understood. I did that once. I gave someone a ride at a gas station. He didn't kill me. I'm here.
But
we're all in the future with me. But I did give someone a ride at a gas station once, and it's the reason why I'll never do it again. He didn't do anything awful to me. It took a long time to get to where we were getting, and then finally, like, he did not explain exactly how long this was going to take. He said, I'm only a few miles away. I'm like, okay, well that, I have a few minutes, but it was not that. This lasted a while. It was closer to like a half an hour to 45 minutes just to get there, and then of course there was all the getting back, and it was snowing. That's why I did it. I felt bad, it's like it's snowing. Geez, like I can't just say, well, better luck next time in the storm. So I did. And then when it was over, I just wanted him to leave my car. That was my desire at that point. I just want you to get out. That's not what I said. I said, well, I suppose. And he said, I really want to pay you back for this, but I don't have any money on me. I was like, you don't owe me anything. It's fine. He said, well, I'm not like a bum or anything, so I'll, just give me your phone number and I will. I can't remember if I did or not, but he definitely never called me. Here's the thing. He was a homeless person. He was lying. It was a lie. He framed this as, oh, my car broke down and I'm just looking for a lift. In reality, he was just, a homeless person looking for me to transport him elsewhere. And if he had said that, I probably would have done the same thing, I guess, because it's snowing no matter whether you have a home or not. But the reason I know this is because only a few days later, I saw him panhandling on the corner, doing what you got to do. I don't judge him for that. I didn't appreciate being lied to in the snow. But he's got worse problems than me, so I guess I shouldn't be shitty about it. Since then, people have done that. They're like, hey, could I get a ride somewhere? I'm like, I'm really sorry. I don't know you. I don't also say I have too much to live for, but that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, so that's it.
It's implied.
Don't
it
worry,
is.
Leon.
It's like
I will
I
always lie to your face.
Yeah, I try to. I don't want to lie to people who ask me for favors and say, well, I would, but I got this party to get to. It's like, I don't have anything going on. That is the one thing people should know about me. I work, and that's it. That's it. If I say no, it's because I'm deeply uncomfortable for a reason, or afraid. And I usually just express that in some way. Sorry. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail into my whole shit. If was that the extent of the story, or were there more Nazi shenanigans?
I do not think there were any more Nazi shenanigans, which is a thing that we have to clarify in the year 2018.
Yeah.
No,
there are plenty of Nazi shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, just not in that story.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's good. Okay. So I have more, but I feel like I've talked a lot in the past half an hour. If either of you would like to jump in with something, like, go for it. I have like 2 other topics, but like, we have time because we're not doing questions.
Yeah, Johnny, you have anything?
This week I did a weird deep dive into Twitter fiction.
What do you mean exactly by that? I think I know. I might know what you mean, but I'm not 100% sure.
Have you guys heard about Dear David?
No.
No.
By Twitter fiction, do you mean like people who have Twitter accounts and like they're just telling stories tweet by tweet, or do you mean something else?
Yeah, tweet by tweet.
Okay.
There's another account that I recently just followed that tells a story about a grandfather dying around a lake, and he goes to this house and has to like deal with shit, and it's horrific. There's like an eyeless woman, and he finds a notebook with a bunch of pages torn out, and then like days go by from each tweet, and he goes to town and gets charcoal and scratches the last page on this notebook, and all it says is, "They took my eyes, they took my eyes, they took my eyes." Like, the whole page says it. It's, oh man. And it got me back into creepypasta again. Just this whole concept that you can make good horror over time. Just like gently dripping the tension in. Have either of you read The Diana House?
No.
Nope.
That was it was like a 2004 creepypasta based around a bunch of blogs.
Okay, I've never read a single creepypasta, so just like none.
Alright. So yeah, Diana House was about this, I can't blow it.
Oh.
Okay. It's good, though. Like, good horror writing, just beautiful tension, excellent narrative. So I did that.
So I know only of one Twitter fiction thing. A friend of mine told me about it. It's about the sun disappearing, and each tweet is like, "Why is the sun gone?" And then various other things. I haven't looked into it too deeply. I was just told this by someone. But yeah, that's what I figured you were talking about, because that's like the only time I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's good. I hope the sun comes back. So, okay. I watched another movie, and I'd like to talk about that because I also had a negative, visceral, emotional reaction to it that again has completely overridden any intellectual analysis of it, much like the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, but in a completely different way. I watched Ralph Breaks the Internet, went to the movies, and I thought this might be fun. And it was like, basically the plot of the movie goes like this. Ralph accidentally
breaks the internet.
No, Ralph is like mild somehow responsible for oh god, what is her goddamn name? Vanellope's arcade machine having like a busted wheel, and they need to go on eBay and find the only wheel that's still out there in the world because it's like a rare arcade game. So they go onto the internet, but obviously they just don't have money because they're video game characters. So what Ralph decides to do is become a YouTube star. They call it BuzzTube instead, I guess for reasons. But basically he needs to become a YouTube star, and he's obsessed with getting likes and growing his brand and becoming a celebrity very, very quickly and going viral. And I was dying inside because it was like watching a Hall of Mirrors image of what my life is like on screen in like a really uncomfortable way. And you know when you see something that like reminds you of you and someone says like, I feel seen right now. It was like that, but bad. I felt awful. It felt like a movie that was like zeroed in on all of my insecurities, and I just wasn't prepared for that at all. I almost left because it was giving me a mild panic attack. But here's what I decided to stay anyway because I already paid. There's that. And I wanted to say I've never walked out of a movie in a movie theater before. I wasn't ready to start then when Ralph Breaks the Internet. I eventually got over it and just sat there and tried to enjoy it. It brings into focus a lot of like uncomfortable stuff about my own life. And I wasn't into it, not in like a let's reflect on this kind of way, but in a joke way that I wasn't into. But yeah, if you're a YouTuber, your opinions and feelings about this, might vary, but that's how I felt about it. There were a couple moments that I enjoyed. But unfortunately, those moments were also part of the let's make fun of ourselves because we're Disney, but not really. We're actually boosting ourselves up here and drawing attention to how powerful we are kind of thing. There was just so much. There was this whole scene where they go to the Disney area of the internet, which is big. And there's just
really?
I'm sorry, got it?
Really?
Yeah. And it's just sort of weird that they're doing this and like calling attention to how much stuff that they own basically. And you're watching it. And if you ever want to see like a diagram of how much Disney is basically forming a monopoly right now, you could do worse than just watching the movie where they think that that's a good thing. I did laugh once. One of the Vanellope meets up with all the Disney princesses, and one of them says something along the lines of, did your mother ever tell you this? And Vanellope says, I don't even have a mother. And all of the princesses say, neither do we, at once. And I chuckled, because, it's an old joke but like I enjoyed seeing it on a huge screen in front of me for a moment. They got me. They know what I'm into. But yeah, my feelings about this were sort of tainted, I guess you could say, by my own life. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Just wanted to get that off my chest. Yeah, I don't suppose either of you saw it. If not, that's fine. We can totally move on.
It's totally fine.
Okay.
I probably will watch it eventually. I know Disney's launching their own streaming thing, and that's gonna be a thing I'm probably gonna have to. I don't know. Maybe I'll just find somebody else's use
in America.
I also watched and played things, including some Star Trek. This wasn't a thing we did for a long time.
Oh.
But when me and my dad were just up here with me and my brother for a little bit after Thanksgiving, I showed him some Star Trek because I was watching it, and The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine specifically. And he grew up with the original series, and after I showed him a couple episodes of Next Generation and Deep Space Nine.
How old is your brother?
What?
How old is your brother?
24? Why is that?
What? Okay.
Okay. So my dad said that he still preferred the original series because that's what he grew up with and that's what, he's nostalgic for, but he did enjoy them. In particular, the episode of Deep Space Nine we watched, which was a very tense, we were like fucking glued to it. The episode is basically they capture this guy who they think ran a concentration camp.
Oh, yep. Duet.
I am Tosk!
I am Tosk as well. No, they capture this guy who ran a concentration camp, but he says he's someone else, and then it's revealed he's actually the concentration camp guy, but then there's another twist, and it just like keeps ratcheting and ratcheting and ratcheting, and the characters are so fucking stressed out, they start crying, and then we are all like tensed up, and I was like, oh god, one of us is gonna cry. It's like an incredibly good episode, and I think it's probably the best one I've seen of that series.
Yeah, that's definitely the best episode of the first season. That's the one that like sort of redeems the first season from being kind of like eh. Yeah, that is a good one.
I'm in the second season now.
But you're still like more TNG.
Oh my god, why are we doing this?
Austin?
What? Johnny's just trying to start fights. So we watched some Star Trek, and I think we basically came to the conclusion that he finds the original series the most charming. He likes Shatner's idiosyncrasies, but probably Deep Space Nine is the best. At least the episodes we watched are the best written, and I just adored the Next Generation characters. And if we watched an episode where they got trapped in The Shining, basically it was like a hotel in some kind of hotel dimension, and there was all these ghost people, and then Data cheated at cards. It was pretty goofy, but it was fun.
Oh, I love you, Austin.
Okay, I think we gotta tuck Johnny in to
right
bed soon.
down to the core of my heart.
Before we tuck Johnny in, is there anything else you watched or played over the Thanksgiving holiday?
Who, me?
Anyone on this show? We're here to talk.
Oh yeah, I have stuff.
Give me more stuff.
I
demand
finished...
content, Leon.
It's fine. I finished Valkyria Chronicles 4, but here's the thing: once it was done, I kept playing it, which I don't do.
Who are you? What have you done with Leon?
I don't believe it.
Yeah. Basically, after you win the war, the other content opens up. I'm like, I'm okay for some more. So I did. You can do more. Basically, you do more. There are things called squad stories, which are like sort of side quests. Like if you play with certain characters, you get to learn more about them in their own little stories. And when I beat the game, a couple other squad stories popped up. I'm like, oh, I'm going to play these. And then I did. And then other little story things, like just stuff you watch, also becomes revealed, and you can watch it, and it's good. And then I started looking at DLC.
No. You didn't buy DLC.
Not yet. But here's the thing. I don't want to start buying DLC for this right now. Because first of all, I would like to wait until there's like a sale. Because there's a lot of stuff that I want. I want to keep playing this. There's a DLC pack where the characters from Valkyria Chronicles 4 meet the characters from Valkyria Chronicles 1. And I'm into that. So I want to do that. But I don't want to pay like $7 for it right now when I've just beat this game and I have another game I can play and I've already paid for it. So I'm not going to now. What I'm going to do is probably sometime between now and before Valkyria Chronicles 5 lands, I assume, I will just feed my need for more Valkyria Chronicles by playing some DLC. But not right now. Now I just started playing Mega Man 11. And it's fun so far. I haven't beaten any of the Robot Masters yet, but we'll see how that goes. It's pretty. Basically, it's just Mega Man, but they changed a couple small things, and the graphics are better than on the NES. But it's basically just Mega Man, and I like it. It's good. I don't really have anything more to say about it right now. I'm going to keep playing it, and it's hard. That's it.
That's a review for every Mega Man, so
yeah, it's fun and it's hard. That's the game. It's not noticeably different any other time, and that's okay.
Really, I heard there was this time slowing mechanic.
Yeah, they like I said, they do change a couple things. They change. You can activate a thing where suddenly you're going a little slower and you can think, which is good because a lot of stuff is always whizzing at your head. But basically, it's Mega Man. You jump and you shoot, and you can hold down the shoot button to shoot a bigger thing, and then you watch out for stuff, and then they hit you when you die a lot. And every I shouldn't say every Mega Man game is exactly the same because eventually you could slide, and you couldn't always slide. And they changed very small things about it, but you can play any Mega Man game having played only one before, and nothing will feel alien,
I like aliens. Sorry, you trailed off at the end there out of my brain.
No, that was literally it.
I know, I was being an asshole. It's a thing I do sometimes. Anyway, let's see. We're at 50 minutes. We have some more. Boop, 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 boop. Now I'm making noises to fill time when I decide what to talk about next. Beep, 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 boop, beep, ba-doop. Anyway, so people often ask me for podcast recommendations, which is silly because you should only be listening to ours. Why would I give recommendations for my competitors? But I have been listening to a good podcast recently that I think is worth talking about, and that is Serial Season 3. We've talked about Serial before. Have any of you boys been listening?
I listened to the first season. I listened to maybe 2 episodes of the second season because a friend of mine was listening to it in the car. But I have not really followed 2, and I didn't even know there was a 3.
Yeah, I think a lot of people dropped off after 2 because it's not that it's bad, but it didn't have the same kind of spark that 1 did. 1 was a phenomenon. For those who don't know, Serial is a podcast. It's a true crime show which has many imitators. It's practically the biggest, or one of the biggest genres unto itself, and Serial is largely responsible for that. The first season was about he was a teenager at the time who was convicted of murder of a woman, and some of the facts didn't add up, so a reporter basically went in and tried to figure out the truth of what happened, and the show ends on a pretty ambiguous note. The person, I believe, is still in prison, although they're having new hearings. Season 2 was about Bo Bergdahl, the soldier who walked off the base in Afghanistan and was captured by the Taliban, I believe, and why he did that, what's up with that, was kind of the thing I was being examined. That one is also very ambiguous. It's hard to say what's in someone's heart. Why did he do it? He has an explanation. The army has an explanation. Detractors have explanations. It's still pretty ambiguous. Season 3 is about a courthouse in Ohio. It's not one story. The woman who runs Serial basically embedded herself in a one particular courthouse in Ohio for a year and just observed it. And every episode is just kind of a different story that she saw while she was there. It's in Cleveland, I believe, specifically. And it is some of the most important, and I know that's kind of a corny-ass thing to say, some of the most important work in the medium right now, because it's very easy to talk about the outlier cases, like the ones with big drama and twists and big characters, but most law is really boring and rote. If you've listened to this show, Law Corner is me basically saying, nothing ever goes to trial. People always plead out. And if you have more money, the cops leave you alone. It's pretty boring. And this is a very close-up look at that. If you do listen to every Law Corner, some of it probably won't surprise you. They reiterate a lot of what I say, but the stories are really humanizing for the people, but not whitewashing. Like, there are some pretty bad people she follows, and the choices they make are often disgusting. But the justice system still fails them, and you are forced to look at such an imperfect system. And the series ends on a really chilling note. It's not ambiguous like the first two. I think it's pretty clear what the message is. I don't want to spoil it. But when you listen to each individual one, you think it just keeps getting worse and it keeps getting worse. And then the end, they're talking to like judges and lawyers and stuff, and everyone just keeps saying, it's the best system in the world. It's the best system in the world, and it's really fucking chilling. Anyway, a couple of specific examples to give you an idea. I know some people think it's probably too depressing to listen to, but if I can just throw some out there. There's one story about this woman who was basically getting curb stomped in a bar, and in trying to free herself from being assaulted, she accidentally hit the cop who was coming to save her. And it's on camera. They have footage of this. Right. It's not ambiguous what happened. But basically the Cleveland Police Department's policy is you can't hit a cop. You just can't, and they have to prosecute you. If they drop the charges, it makes them look weak. They think it'll encourage people to hit police officers, which, by the way, is not even in the top 10 most dangerous jobs. So don't let that falsehood continue to propagate.
I had a more dangerous job when I was a pizza delivery driver, and that's not even a joke.
Statistically,
Statistically, they are the most robbed occupation. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I don't want to spoil the ending of any of these cases, but basically the first one, that's how the show opens. It's just like this, lower middle class white woman who accidentally hit a cop. There's video evidence, and just how the system just does not give a fuck. There's a bunch more that are very racially charged. The police basically find any pretext to attack young black men, and they have a couple of peculiar habits. I mean, bad shit happens all over the country, but Cleveland has a couple of reputations. Like, they just love kneeing people in the groin, black young men especially, that just, with very little provocation, they just start stomping on people's genitals. Another thing is there's like a specific closet they keep locking people in, and no one knows where this closet is. Like, none of the police, if you ask them, but mysteriously, young black men just keep getting locked in there for days. And it's just like, even if you can sue them successfully, they don't have any money. They're so underfunded. What are you going to do? And if you manage to get anything, the cops follow you around every time you go outside for the rest of the time you're in Cleveland. And that's like some of the more dramatic stuff. That's the kind of stuff where it's like, you got to hear this shit. I can't believe this happened. But the show really shines in the boring details, just like how the judges talk to people. They, like, all these judges, mostly white male judges talking to young black men, they talk to them like they're like basically fatherly. They're like, oh, you've disappointed me, and now I have to be the reasonable authority figure, the party of personal responsibility. And it's just like so degrading. There's such like like almost this is weird to say, like almost a sexual power dynamic that these male authority figures get off on, the police, the judges. There's the episode about this one judge in particular is really disgusting, and how he basically tries to be the father to all these people's families. Like, it's gross. Anyway, I've gone on for a while, but Serial is, I think, a really interesting show in the ways it fails and the way it succeeds. It's already popular. It doesn't really need my help. But this season in particular, I think this is their best work and probably their most useful, because you're probably, statistically, you, the listener, are not going to be caught up in a situation like the guy in the first season. You were probably not going to walk off a base like the guy in the second season, but you absolutely could get busted for a joint and have the police crack your head open and lock you in a closet for 3 days. That could absolutely happen at any time. So,
not in Canada.
You know what? I bet that's not even true. I occasionally
No, Leon.
Mm-hmm.
Weed is legal.
Oh, not for weed. I just mean for other infractions.
All right. So, fuck off.
Okay, there's a lot of that this episode.
Yeah, but I mean that.
I love you both.
Okay, you too.
That does partly like your joke, but that does expose an important aspect of the marijuana legalization. Is that it's not just that America is a puritanical, backwards hellhole where people think weed makes you a slave of the devil, although that certainly helps.
You guys are so weird.
Yeah. It's a lot of it has to do with the fact that having weed, smelling like weed, maybe having weed, knowing someone who sells weed gives the cops a pretext to put their hands on you.
Yeah.
It's the small thing that can lead them to try to look for a bigger thing.
Yeah. And there's like they actually get at this in Serial, but there are certain phrases that cops can say which completely get around your constitutional rights. This is from a famous case. It's Terry versus Ohio. We've talked about it before. It's kind of the stop and frisk case. But if a cop feels they are threatened, they can pat you down. And so all they have to say is you were making furtive movements. That's the term. Or that you had a suspicious bulge. Sorry. It could be a weapon. It could be a weapon.
Austin.
Yeah.
My bulges
I knew it was happening.
are always suspicious.
But then they...
Let's see that title. So.
Then they pat you down, and then they find whatever you have, even if it's just like one joint, and they can't. They're not supposed to be able to.
Yeah, they do.
Oh Lord! And then that gives them a pretext to put their hands on you. And once their hands are on you, they can say that you tried to fight back or you resisted, or like there's this one part where this guy just fucking destroys this kid, like smashes his skull bones. Basically, it's like the orbital bone around the eye. Just destroys it, and they sue the kid who got his ass whooped for destroying police property because I think the police broke his stun gun off on this kid. Like, anyway, it's depressing to get into it, but they do not need a reason to kick your ass, and marijuana just helps, and that's one of the many reasons it should be legalized is because to give them one less weapon.
Yeah. Fuck the police.
That's
a little
kind of the word funk motto, really.
Yeah.
Do you have anything lighter?
Do I have anything lighter? Let me briefly look at something real quick, and then I will.
We can talk about She-Ra again.
I mean, you joke, but we could.
Still thinking about Seahawks. Still thinking about Swiftwind, Catra. Love them. Still thinking about them.
Yeah, they're very good. Did I talk about Overlord?
No, that's the zombie Nazi movie. Nazi zombie, whichever order.
Kind of,
Leon.
It's for a movie where guys go into World War II and there are Nazi zombies. It's really by the numbers but there's just something very satisfying right now watching
Nazis get the shit blown out of them.
Yeah, just wreck them. I just it was something I really...
Nazis, fuck you.
I was just I felt like, you know what, this is exactly the right movie for exactly the right time to just watch Nazis get destroyed. And I appreciate that. The Nazis are literally monsters in the movie. So there's no...
Guess what, Leon? They're still monsters in real life.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate like that level of bluntness in this film. I liked it. That's basic. I could go on, but it's everything that you think would happen in this movie happens. They go to France, they find a woman, but this French woman can speak perfect English, and there's a reason for that. And the shy protagonist also just happens to speak French. And they have moments together. And there's a small boy who the surly soldier doesn't like. But then at the end, the surly soldier saves the boy. It's like everything that happens.
Gold.
Everything that happens is like telegraphed in such a way that if you've ever read anything about writing a screenplay, or have just seen any movie, really, it's going to happen. And yet it was very satisfying experience. I liked it. I can't claim it's a great film, but it was the film that I needed on that day. So yeah, good on that.
Now, how is it possible, all right, that we can have a movie like Overlord,
Yeah.
and yet the movies that MST3K have done in their new season exist?
I haven't watched any of the new MST3K. That's harder to say than I thought, but I saw that one of them is Mac and Me, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. That was the season premiere. I've seen 2 of the 6 episodes so far. I'm still.
I did the gauntlet.
That's fine. I don't have time to do something quite like that.
I know.
But
I've got nothing. Like, I'm a wastrel. We all know that.
I should rephrase. I bet I could have if I just didn't do anything else in my spare time, but I can't sit still for that long. That's just not something that's in me.
I have to.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
The way I watch movies, I just constantly want to pause and go into the other room and do something else for a little while. That's why I kind of like enjoy and also like fear going to the movies because I just want to get up. But I also know that this is the best way for me to just watch a movie and not be interrupted.
Yeah, so you saw Atlantic Rim.
Yeah, I saw the first 2 of those, and that one of them was Atlantic Rim. The other one was Mac and Me. I'm still not, how do I put this? I'm warming up to the new format.
Cast.
Yeah, but it's not that I'm not sold on them because they're obviously very good. It's just like I don't know if I'm exactly the biggest MST3K geek as I was when I was younger. I think it's just a saturation thing where like riffing is not unique anymore. But I still want to keep trying to watch it because it's just just a huge part of my life. So I'm gonna keep at it. I am laughing a bit. That's important, you would think. so I'm gonna keep going with that.
Speaking of Netflix, another weird thing that happened was when we got to my sister's place in Orlando, they were watching Friends on Netflix, and that apparently they just watch it on repeat, like beginning to end, over and over, like the whitest people who've ever existed, and that's fine. I've seen all of Friends too. I'm not one to throw stones, but I was like, hey, can we watch something else? And we did eventually settle on Jeopardy. But before that, I tried to put on a new Netflix series called Dogs. I saw it.
I love Dogs.
I don't actually know if it's good. It was called Dogs, and there's a picture of a dog. Anyway, my sister did not enjoy that, and she made me change it.
Okay, I'm looking up what it is right now.
I think it's just a doc.
It's a docu-series about
Dogumentary.
Yeah, it is. I got to pet a dog today. I was really excited about it. It's still also just the chillest dog. Just like really calm. Didn't bark. Just kind of like walked over to me and like nuzzled me a lot. It was very good. The cashier. This was happening in a store. That's where the dog was. The dog is like an employee.
In this economy.
Yeah. So the they were having trouble with the machine, and they said it's not your card. We're just having trouble with our machine. I'm like, that's okay. I am totally cool just standing here petting this dog. Eventually, they got the machine working, and they gave me my thing. But yeah, that is a really good dog, and I just I'm moving soon, and I think I'm allowed to have pets in my new apartment.
Hell yeah!
I'm not allowed to have pets where I am now, so I might get a pet. I don't know if I want to get a dog because that's just like. I have to be. What if I leave town, and where am I going to put my pet?
Mini English Bull Terrier.
Okay, but regardless of what breed, like they still need to be taken care of. Like, and I can't just like if I'm gone for like a week at like a convention or whatever. Like, I don't know anyone in the new city where I'm going to, so I can't just say, "Hey, stranger." There probably are services though.
I also have an animal update. I met a really nice cat. A friend of a friend was house sitting, and we went over there just to check on their cats, give them water and food and stuff. There was 2 cats in this house. One I did not meet, but because they was very shy, hid in the bedroom. But the other cat was named Rafiki, and he was top shelf, AAA cat, like the cream of the crop, the best cat like quality. This is just the premium stuff, right? Loved pets, very affectionate, all kinds of tail wagging, very lively, just jumped up on the counter trying to see what's going on. He loved having the TV on because he loved to hear the humans talk, very sociable, big, but not like unhealthily so, just like some real good chunk, you know what I'm saying? Like a solid lad, a full unit, little pudgy paws, very good. Loved Rafiki. Petted him for like an hour, and then I could not breathe for about 3 or 4 hours. Had to take some medicine because I'm allergic to cats.
Oh, that'll happen.
It fucked me right up.
You just went for it though.
I mean, listen, you didn't meet Rafiki. If you had, you'd understand.
Gotta go, Leon. You have to. When you meet the right animal.
Yeah.
Gotta
have it. I was upset the other cat, which didn't come out of the bedroom. Apparently, its name was Huey. I thought maybe it would be a Simba or a Scar or a Timon.
Yeah.
But
yeah, they didn't follow the theme. It was just individually Rafiki.
I mean, maybe they just looked at the cat and they read its energy. They absorbed its aura and they just thought like, this is a fucking Rafiki right here. And if they did, they nailed it because that cat was Rafiki as hell.
Oh my god. Yeah. Do you know that 4chan thinks that I'm not actually bald?
I don't remember if you told us this on air, but I remember you telling me.
I read that thread.
Yeah. Basically, 4chan. 4chan. I never want to link to this because it's really just full of hate, and not hate like I don't like your show, but
they're fuckers. All of them.
Yeah, but things like kill yourself, monster, stuff like that, and a lot of anti-Semitism. I get a lot of anti-Semitism for someone who is not Jewish, but it's a thing for me. But someone said something along the lines of, "Look, bald fuck, and used to shave something like shaved head, but even though has a full head of hair." And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's a really specific accusation.
I feel like that's someone who got cucked by Vin Diesel and they're still mad about it. Like they just project that onto every bald man they see. It's a very common experience. Anyway, I think we're done here.
Yeah, we can stop. Now that